At a prep school, a boy is studying when his friends distract him. They joke that he doesn't want to end up like someone. Confused, he looks where they are staring. A girl from the bottom-tier high school is standing outside. She's known for having a bad reputation. The boys stare at her and say she looks clueless. One of them waves, thinking she might be looking for him, but she instantly turns away. They call her rude and say she's just a cheeky girl with attitude. Right next to the top-ranked prep school in the country stands the lowest-ranked school. It's ironic how the two schools interact even though their levels are so different. Two students talk about the future of the bottom-tier kids, convinced they don't care about it. One says their only option is to find a sugar daddy and pretend to be victims for the rest of their lives. Their laughter fills the air. The boy is disrupted by his classmates again. He tries to calm them down, but something else is going through his mind. Maybe he made a mistake in judging someone. Then he reads something that shocks him. A description of a family, people with close blood ties. Something rare for him. After school, he reaches home. As he looks for his keys, the door suddenly opens. His stepsister Komaru stands there. He happily announces he's back, but she waves him off, clearly in a hurry. When he asks why she's rushing, she tells him to stop poking his nose into her business. She's not in the mood for sibling talk and calls him a nosy virgin. He warns her to watch her step, and when she turns, he notices a price tag still stuck to her pants. Shocked, she rips it off and crushes it in her hand, demanding to know why he's staring at her clothes like a creep. With a dramatic step forward, she sarcastically wishes him a quick death. He thinks about their tense relationship. She's a gyaru, the sassy, flashy type, and they're not related by blood. In the afternoon, Tanuki studies with his friend Takanaka. While doing homework, Tanuki asks what family means. Takanaka answers simply, family is just family, something precious. Then he asks if Tanuki is worried about Komaru. Tanuki admits it and praises his friend since they've known each other for years. Tanuki explains that even though he and Komaru are siblings, they don't share a close bond. Whenever he tries to talk to her, she turns it into a fight and pushes him away. As he pours his heart out, Takanaka suddenly shows him something on his phone, the latest update from a famous manga artist. Tanuki can't believe he interrupted such a serious moment. Takanaka offers to help fix things with Komaru, but Tanuki tells him to stop reading questionable manga before it affects his imagination. Takanaka insists that breaking Komaru's pride will make her more honest and cute, but Tanuki refuses to believe such things. Feeling lost, Tanuki listens as Takanaka tells him to man up and talk to Komaru. Later that night, he comes home to find the dinner table already set. His parents are waiting for him. His dad gushes over his mom's cooking, and Tanuki jokes that he praises her like this every day. His father asks him to go call Komaru. Tanuki knocks on her door and says dinner is ready. There is silence at first, and he wonders if she's even home. Then the door opens. Komaru stands there wearing a revealing outfit. He invites her to dinner, but she refuses. When he insists, she tells him to stop waiting for her. He reminds her that they're family and should eat together. Annoyed, she snaps that they're not a real family. He hesitates, then asks where she's going dressed like that. She fires back, saying she can wear whatever she wants and warns him to stop staring. She never used to be like this. Something in the family has changed. He wants her to understand, but deep down he knows there's no understanding left between them. Meanwhile, laughter fills another house as Komaru sits surrounded by 4 boys and a girl. Tears fill her eyes as everyone eats and drinks. Forced to sit between 2 boys, they pressure her to drink, but she refuses, saying she doesn't like alcohol. One of the boys keeps insisting until the girl in the group steps in, reminding them she promised Komaru that only the 2 of them would be there. Clearly, someone lied to Komaru to bring her here. A boy places his hand on Komaru's shoulder, offering her a drink and telling her to stop being difficult. He tells her to finish it in one go. She shifts uncomfortably, uneasy with how close he is. Another girl laughs and teases him, hinting at his intentions. Embarrassed, he snaps at her, then turns back to Komaru and pushes the drink again. Komaru brushes his hand away and tries to leave, but he grabs her arm. His tone turns firm, almost threatening. He tells her to stop acting like she doesn't know why she's there. He compliments her appearance, confused why someone like her is disliked at school. He raises his voice, demanding she drink. Startled and overwhelmed, Komaru gives in. After finishing the drink, she collapses, the room spinning. Their voices fade into echoes. Someone asks where the others went, implying they're busy in another room. Komaru barely whispers that she wants to go home, but someone stops her, saying they haven't even started explaining why she was invited. Komaru lies unconscious. A boy grabs her face, admiring her looks. Another asks about her younger brother, learning they aren't related by blood. His gaze lingers on her in an unsettling way. He says he wishes he had a sister like her. Both of them are touching her when a delivery boy knocks on the door with food. They're all confused. No one ordered anything. One boy goes to open the door. The delivery boy is wearing a hoodie and cap, hiding his face. He arrives with a box of fancy sushi, saying Komaru ordered it. Tempted by the smell, the group eagerly digs in, unaware the delivery boy is actually Tanuki, Komaru's younger brother, who tricked them. While they eat and talk about Komaru, calling her kind even though someone deceived her, Tanuki slips into the back room where she lies unconscious, breathing weakly. Moments later, he comes out carrying Komaru in his arms and heads for the door. The others shout for him to stop. One boy grabs his shoulder, but freezes when he sees Tanuki's face. Tanuki calmly says he's taking back what matters. Then he addresses the boy by his full name, Yuhi Korea, a student at the City University of Technology. Korea scoffs, accusing him of trying to threaten him. Tanuki responds by listing disturbing details about Korea's life, his background, fights at home, bullying incidents, and an old assault case. Stunned, Korea asks how Tanuki knows all this about him. Tanuki replies coldly that it's just rumors. Then he warns the group to stop their reckless behavior before something bad eventually happens. His words leave the room silent and tense. He carries Komaru out and leaves her safely at the doorstep. This is only the beginning. His first step in trying to help her find her way back. Komaru is lying at the front door. Tanuki tries to wake her. She slowly opens her eyes and notices he isn't wearing shoes. Worried, she tells him he might catch a cold. He sits beside her and asks why she was sleeping outside. She snaps that it's none of his business. He hands her a water bottle. She stares at him in shock. He explains that those people basically forced alcohol on her even though she couldn't handle it. She stubbornly refuses the water, so he shrugs and walks away. Later, she picks up the bottle and struggles to open it. Frustrated, she calls for help. But Tanuki is already in his room with the door shut. She begins acting differently, confused by her own reaction. Meanwhile, Tanuki sits behind the door, thinking he has only made about 9% progress in breaking through her shell. He knows there is a long road ahead, but he's determined to continue. The next morning, Komaru stands under the shower, thinking about the night before. She sinks into the bathtub, replaying everything, being tricked by a friend, surrounded by unfamiliar boys, the panic, losing control, and then Tanuki arriving to take her away. The faint scent of his cologne still seems stuck in the air. She splashes water on her face, unsettled. It bothers her that he saved her, even though she always pushes him away and accuses him of meddling. She tells herself it doesn't mean anything, yet her expression shows confusion. Then she suddenly remembers her bag from last night. At the prep school, Takanaka rushes Tanuki to the rooftop, excited to ask him questions. Tanuki, clearly annoyed, takes his time. He isn't in the mood to be rushed. Later, they sit together sharing lunch. Takanaka brings up the sushi incident and how Tanuki boldly rescued Komaru from a group of delinquent boys. He's shocked by how fast the rumors have spread. Certain that Tanuki has some kind of plan, Takanaka asks if Komaru willingly returned home or if Tanuki forced her to listen. Irritated, Tanuki shuts him down, saying he hates the twisted fantasies people make up about his sister. Takanaka realizes he went too far and apologizes. Tanuki, though frustrated, thanks him. After all, his friend encouraged him to act. Tanuki explains that although Komaru acts like a flashy gyaru, she lashes out when approached. Beneath that, he sees someone shy and easily influenced. He knows using force would only traumatize her more and push her away. That's why he plans to keep his distance while guiding her gently. His plan? Investigate her environment, understand the root of her behavior, and use strategy, not pressure, to reach her. He'll do whatever it takes to help her. Takanaka is stunned. Charging into that apartment wasn't like Tanuki at all. But Tanuki calmly says he only wants to see his sister smile again. He believes her coldness is shaped by her surroundings, not her true nature. Takanaka teases him, asking if he plans to steal her back completely. Tanuki scoffs, calling that a crude way to say it. When Takanaka jokes about mental victory, Tanuki rolls his eyes and calls him a creep. Just then, Tanuki's phone rings. It's their mother, panicked. Komaru has collapsed. Tanuki's expression changes immediately. He stands up serious. He rushes home and finds Komaru weakened with a fever. He buys okayu, rice porridge, for her, and goes to her room. Knock knock. No answer. So he steps in. Komaru glares at him, accusing him of making fun of her. He explains that mom sent him with food to help her recover, but she refuses, saying she won't get better anyway. He tries to reason with her, saying her body needs energy to heal. She claims she's sick because of the clothes she wore last night. He replies sharply that she only feels terrible because those people got her tipsy. She breaks down, saying they aren't real siblings, that she feels like a loner in the family, and wondering why he bothers when she always pushes him away with hurtful words. He tells her simply, they're family, and he'll always have her back. He casually says he'll take the food away if she doesn't want it. Then she suddenly grabs his shirt and says she'll eat. He stares in surprise, then accepts her decision. She apologizes softly. He asks if she can manage by herself or if he needs to help feed her. She calls him annoying and insists she can eat alone. Somehow they reach a solid 38% understanding. Meanwhile, at school, the teachers are confused about Komaru's blank future goals sheet. She keeps turning it in empty, like a puzzle she refuses to solve. The next day, Komaru goes to Hishu Public High School in Hiroshima, a private high school in the city center. In class, the teacher explains how lessons are divided among different instructors and that students come in plain clothes. Many students there have faced academic troubles before. As she walks downstairs, she overhears students complaining about the long distance between the science and civics labs. Others talk about credit hours and homeroom teachers. One student even says he won't take exams next year. When Komaru places her history report in the mailbox, she notices a short student struggling to reach the slot. He asks about the comprehensive Japanese assignment. She helps him, explaining that once he finishes the reports, he should submit them to the mailbox in front of the staff room. He thanks her and asks why she seems so calm. Just as she's about to answer, her homeroom teacher, Higashi, walks in and asks if she has recovered from her cold. Chuckling, he says she should be grateful to her family and admits he was worried she might fail again. Then he invites her to the guidance counselor's office to finish the section about her future goals. In the counselor's room, the teacher says he's glad she showed up. She wouldn't have come if he hadn't called her. He tells her to sit, then turns to make coffee. He reminds her that teachers are always busy, and making time for interviews like these is a lot of work. When she doesn't respond, he tells her egoistic behavior is causing problems. She quickly apologizes. He laughs and says he's only worried about her. Seeing her defeated face actually pleases him. He finds it funny how a small comment aimed at her weak point shows clearly on her face. The part of her he likes the most. He tells her that if she wants a higher education, she should think about her age. If she doesn't, she will only cause trouble for her family. Komaru clenches her fists and starts apologizing with tears in her eyes. Her expression turns strangely sensitive. He tells her not to apologize. He only wants her to think about her future and graduation. He knows very well that she has low self-esteem and can't talk openly about her situation. She comes from a difficult home environment. He doesn't want her to become like her mother, who abandoned her own child. He says she shouldn't trouble the relatives who raised her. He claims he is the only one who understands her feelings. She's the black sheep of her family, and that makes her easy for others to manipulate. He steps in like a hero, but she isn't buying it. She brushes him off, and he sees it as rude. As she heads for the door, saying she has another class, he asks about her plans for the future. She sharply replies that she'll discuss everything with her family first. It's the first time she has answered him so directly. He tells her he will always be there to support her and help her recover. She remembers his harsh words, and tears fill her eyes again. She leaves the school. Unexpectedly, she runs into her younger stepbrother Tanuki and his friend on the road. Tanuki asks Komaru if she's heading home, but she stays silent. He watches her closely, trying to understand what she's thinking. Takanaka, clearly excited, is happy to see her again after so long. Seeing her red eyes, Tanuki gently asks if she has been crying. She quickly turns away and tells him not to look at her. When she asks how he knew, he simply says, "It's obvious." Without answering further, she suddenly walks away in the opposite direction. Tanuki points out that she's going the wrong way and starts following her. She tells him not to. Suddenly, Takanaka slips and falls on the road. Komaru turns around and asks if he's okay. Tanuki checks on him too, but Takanaka quickly jumps up and proudly introduces himself as Tanuki's best friend. Komaru looks at him in disbelief. Takanaka smiles and compliments her kindness, saying it's a nice moment for their reunion. Then he invites her to walk home with them. On the way, they stop at a convenience store and buy ice cream. Takanaka is overly cheerful, and Tanuki jokingly calls him Chipper. Takanaka notices Komaru's ice cream is melting and points it out. She snaps at him in annoyance. While her ice cream drips everywhere, Takanaka happily eats his cone. She watches him, clearly irritated, unable to enjoy hers. When the melting ice cream stains her shirt, Tanuki asks about the mess. Komaru casually says she just slipped. Tanuki, being helpful, offers his handkerchief. Komaru stubbornly refuses. Tanuki then mentions she'll have to walk home in sticky clothes. Since there's no way to clean up, he jokes about how uncomfortable it will be. She tells him to be quiet, but he says dirty clothes could leave a bad impression and encourages her to be honest and take the handkerchief. After hesitating, she finally asks for it. When he hands it over, he smirks, and she notices. Annoyed, she asks if he's making fun of her. Suddenly, Takanaka mumbles that this is all part of Tanuki's plan to get close to her and bring out her real emotions. Tanuki quickly covers his mouth and tells him to stop talking. Unexpectedly, Komaru hands them her bag and says to take it home because she'll be back later. Hey guys, sorry for mid-editing, but I noticed a lot of you are watching my videos without subscribing. Our subscribe ratio is literally close to 0. I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It helps a lot. Thanks. Now, back to the recap. Komaru goes to Higashioka's apartment to get the handbag she left behind. He seems unusually cheerful. It has been a while since he last saw her. She explains she's only there to collect her things and refuses to come inside, asking him to bring the bag out. Higashioka smirks and calls her selfish, but still hesitates. Her quiet, worn-down appearance makes him hold back. He tries to persuade her, saying he missed her, but she stays firm. Eventually, he brings the bag. She thanks him and turns to leave, but he grabs her shoulder. I can't let you go like this, he says, forcing her inside. He claims he's worried about her and makes her sit on the couch. Then he takes out his phone and calls his friends, inviting them over for the night, and tells them that she's there. As he talks, Komaru remembers what happened the last time, and her unease grows. Suddenly, a message pops up on her phone. It's from Tanuki. He asks when she will be home and says there's hamburger steak for dinner. She replies that she'll be late, not ready to explain, but the message warms her heart. Her little brother is waiting. She has a home. She has a family. Higashioka grins and says everyone will arrive soon. Let's make some memories before they get here, he adds as he leans toward her. Without warning, she slaps him. Stunned, he watches her walk toward the door. He tells her that if she leaves now, she'll be kicked out of their group, but she only smirks. She says that hamburger steak is waiting at home, and her younger brother cares for her. Then she walks out, finally choosing herself. That night, Tanuki is cooking when he receives messages from his mother. She tells him about the trip vouchers and how excited his father is. When the door opens, Komaru walks in. He welcomes her warmly. She is surprised to see him cooking and asks about their parents. He explains they went on a trip after winning 2 tickets to Ensign. The table is already set. She compliments the food, and after hesitating, he admits he made it. She smiles, says she wants to eat right away and goes to wash her hands. He quietly hopes the old Komaru might be coming back. While washing her hands, Komaru thinks about how badly she treated Tanuki in the past. She feels ashamed, but tries to hide her guilt and pulls herself together. When she turns around, she finds him watching her. She sits down, praises the food again, and picks up her chopsticks. She eats calmly, but she genuinely enjoys the meal. While they eat, Tanuki finally breaks the silence. He gently tells her she doesn't need to fix everything all at once. Tanuki points out that whenever Komaru feels nervous and tries to hide her emotions, her eyebrows furrow and her voice becomes quiet. He adds that she often feels guilty about everything and seems unsure what expression to wear. Komaru clenches her fists and tells him to shut up, but then, unexpectedly, she starts opening up. She admits that she pushed him away because of her inferiority complex and constantly lashed out at him. Despite all of that, he always treated her with kindness, which only made her feel worse. She says she keeps pretending nothing happened, and in doing so, she loses track of how she is supposed to feel or act. Tanuki tells her to calm down and explains that this is normal between siblings, fighting, making up, eating together, and facing things with a smile. He gently reminds her what family means. Being siblings means clashing, struggling, regretting, and growing together. Moved by his words, she smiles and vows to remember them. She giggles, calling him a cheeky younger brother. Then she turns back to her meal and continues eating her steak, a clear happiness on her face. Tanuki watches her, knowing that whenever she eats her favorite food, a genuine smile always lights up her face. Meanwhile, in the guidance counselor's room, Higashioka looks at Komaru's picture with a twisted smile. Her eyes seem to represent a path opening before him. Quietly, he thinks that guiding her is the real reason he became a teacher. Komaru can't put her fork down. It's like a never-ending food marathon. Out of nowhere, Tanuki swoops in with a bowl of Japanese-style soup made perfectly to her taste. He proudly boasts about the fine meat he bought from the local butcher and even brags about his non-sticky rice cooking skills. Komaru, convinced he is a culinary genius, is quickly brought back to reality when he points out a stray hamburger patty stuck to her face. Embarrassed and with rosy cheeks, she frantically searches for it, guided by his helping hand. She finally asks him to double-check for any other food on her face, but he firmly refuses. The next day, Tanuki shares extra hamburgers with Takanaka during lunch and tells him about the dinner he made for Komaru the night before. He explains that she only feels at ease when it's just the two of them, so he used the chance to help her relax and eat properly, especially since she's been unwell and emotionally distant. Takanaka teases him for going all out, joking that Tanuki paid for their parents' trip just to be alone with her. He adds that the dinner helped improve their communication and ease her anxiety. He then asks why Tanuki cares so much, as if she weren't his real sister. Tanuki finally reveals that Komaru is actually his cousin, not his sister. As he begins to answer, Takanaka shifts the conversation to the guidance counselor, Higashioka, from the neighboring high school. Curious, Tanuki looks him up online. He finds an interview praising Higashioka's sharp tongue and record of guiding students to top universities. But a deeper search reveals a 5-year-old interview hinting at past misconduct that led to his transfer, followed by harassment allegations. Tanuki grows uneasy, hoping nothing bad happens. Later, while packing up after class, Tanuki reflects on why he cares so much about Komaru, despite her past behavior. The answer is simple: she's family. Suddenly, an announcement calls Tanuki to the staff room. This is unusual. Takanaka rushes in, urging him to hurry. Inside, he introduces himself, but is quickly interrupted by Higashioka, who greets him with a sinister smile and says he looks forward to working with him. When Tanuki enters the staff room, Higashioka introduces himself as the instructor of the high school next door. He tries to give the impression that he plans to isolate Komaru. He wants to label her as a problematic student. Tanuki's own teacher interrupts and asks why Higashioka is there if he has business with Tanuki. Tanuki knows Higashioka tries to coax students over, but the chatter is an issue. Higashioka states that Tanuki's cohabitant is his student. Tanuki's teacher says he already knows about Komaru and has had detailed meetings with her parents, but Higashioka sticks to his point. Tanuki interrupts and asks about the matter regarding Komaru. Higashioka says he is relieved to know that Komaru has such a polite and capable relative. Then he brings up the main point and pulls out her future goals sheet. Tanuki seems confused. Higashioka tells him that even after repeated guidance counseling, she has been clinging to a goal. She wants to continue at cosmetology school, even though it's very difficult for her at her age. Tanuki thinks it's a poor choice. Higashioka adds that if she cannot get a steady job, she will be a burden for her family. He laughs and says that since Tanuki is a young boy, it must annoy him if a troublesome cohabitant with no blood relation causes him problems. He just wants to see Tanuki's reaction. Tanuki is pleased to hear that Komaru mentioned consulting her family. Higashioka realizes that Tanuki is the reason for the change in Komaru's behavior, but he pretends to be happy that she has good relatives. He decides to make a plan to overcome the obstacle and get Komaru in his hands to assert control as an instructor. Finally, Higashioka tells Tanuki to give a printed copy of the future goals sheet to Komaru and leaves the room. When they come out, Takanaka comments that Higashioka hasn't changed since they last met. Both boys are shocked. Tanuki finds it funny that the homeroom teacher sank quietly into the background. Takanaka wonders why the school keeps Higashioka as an instructor, despite the trouble he has caused in the past. Tanuki says he thinks Komaru may feel safe at her correspondence school and is a bit more relaxed there. He believes the teacher, Higashioka, hasn't changed at all, but worries he might actually be getting worse. Takanaka is confused by Tanuki's words. Deep down, Tanuki feels uneasy, suspecting that Higashioka is obsessing over Komaru. Meanwhile, Komaru is at home studying when Tanuki arrives. Tired and hungry, she plans to eat the hamburger steaks he made. As he walks by and casually greets her, she jumps in surprise and scolds him for sneaking up. He's confused by her reaction, but she brushes it off, saying she's focused on finishing her homework for her correspondence classes. When Tanuki praises her effort, she is suspicious, thinking he might be sarcastic, like someone cheering a delinquent who saved a cat. Tanuki calmly explains that whether she's straight-laced or not, he'll praise her for doing what matters. She notices his familiar smirk and laughs, remembering how he used to do the same when they were kids. But her smile fades when he mentions Higashioka. Shocked, she immediately asks where he heard that name. Fear shows clearly on her face. She asks if something happened, and Tanuki lies, saying he just heard the name from Takanaka, along with some school rumors. Sensing his concern, she accuses him of hiding something and calls him an idiot. Then she reveals that Higashioka visited Tanuki's school, and she suspects he knows more than he's letting on. Trying to stay composed, Komaru explains that Higashioka discouraged her from pursuing her longtime dream of becoming a cosmetologist, saying it would burden her family. He even threw away her future goals sheet. Since then, she hasn't trusted the career guidance system and has had no one to talk to. Tears form as she admits feeling lost and panicked at 21, believing she must give up on her dreams and just become self-sufficient. Tanuki is stunned by how deeply Higashioka's manipulation affected her. As she cries, saying she only causes trouble, he gently grabs her wrists. He tells her there's nothing wrong with her dream and urges her to rely on her family, not give up. A flicker of hope returns to her eyes. When he offers her the hamburger steaks, she suddenly pushes him away and tells him not to touch her. He apologizes, and she asks if he overheard her earlier when she was home alone. Tanuki quietly moves to the kitchen, while Komaru broods over Higashioka's influence. In her room, Tanuki notices her diary, where she once wrote about her dream. This strengthens his determination to protect her and help her find her own path. Later, Tanuki asks Takanaka to join him for karaoke, but Takanaka refuses, citing a field day committee meeting. Tanuki, a Class 2 student and committee member, dreads attending, but then offers to attend the meeting in his friend's place. At the meeting room, Bandai, a strict senior from Class 3A, leads the session. The secretary hands out printouts, and Bandai asks if the Class 2A member has arrived. Mizuzuki, the female representative from 2A, replies that he hasn't. Bandai angrily warns that future tardiness will require group apologies. Tanuki arrives just in time. He introduces himself and explains that he is replacing Tanaka, who is supposedly at cram school. He takes a seat next to Mizuzuki, who casually asks about Tanaka. Tanuki admits that Tanaka is actually at karaoke, a plan to avoid standing around with nothing to do. Mizuzuki is surprised, noting Tanuki doesn't seem like a committee type, but suspects he has a hidden motive. The prep and correspondence schools share the same field, and as a committee member, Tanuki can move freely to watch over Higashioka and protect Komaru. When Mizuzuki unexpectedly asks about his sister, Tanuki freezes. Their eyes meet for the first time. He keeps Komaru a secret because he knows she wouldn't want their relationship exposed. He explains that rumors naturally spread, even without truth. He bluntly says he is an only child, and that any ideas about his sister are just in people's heads. Mizuzuki smirks, saying he is lying to protect Komaru. She reveals that she has been watching him as he avoids standing out. Tanuki is shocked and confused about her purpose. Bandai forbids whispering and begins the second field day executive committee meeting. He explains that the field day is connected to the school's educational advancement and involves many other schools. He talks about the centerpiece event, the scavenger hunt race. Since last year's victors moved to prestigious universities, this year's event must succeed. Bandai announces the division of responsibilities. Each class works in pairs, as described in the documents. Mizuzuki processes the information as Bandai distributes the assignments. Tanuki is assigned the role of manager. He must prepare all the necessary goods for the field day. It's a perfect chance for him to move freely without standing out and, in the process, help Komaru. But it will require preparation. Mizuzuki asks if he's headed to the classroom and offers to go together. Tanuki is unsure whether she is a friend or foe. Walking down the corridor, Tanuki decides to break the ice. He thanks her for letting him join their meeting and asks for permission to question her about her spy tactics regarding his sister. Mizuzuki chuckles, guessing he means the top-secret mission involving Komaru. She says she tried to start a conversation earlier, but he avoided her like a pro. Feeling frustrated, she used his sister as a conversation starter. Tanuki demands to know where she got the information, but Mizuzuki smiles and says she's a vault of secrets. Tanuki remains skeptical, which only makes her laugh. Then she proposes a shocking deal. She will keep the secret if he becomes her lover. Tanuki is stunned. At home, the doorbell rings loudly, echoing through the house. Kana thinks it's Tanuki and opens the door, only to find Takanaka standing there instead. Dressed casually, she looks surprisingly cute, and Takanaka is momentarily stunned, thinking his wish has come true. Her cheeky reputation suddenly feels real. Annoyed by the loud ringing, she tells him to be patient. Takanaka tries to compliment her but ends up just calling her rude. She quickly apologizes for talking too much. He asks if Tanuki is home, explaining that they plan to study together after school. Takanaka notices that Kana seems different from last time, less rough, more composed, but holds back from commenting. Sensing the awkward air, Kana asks if he's hungry and invites him inside. Takanaka is pleasantly surprised by her hospitality. It's New Year's Eve and she celebrates with Tanuki and Takanaka. Tanuki and Takanaka are busy playing video games. After Tanuki wins again, Takanaka, frustrated, demands another round. Tanuki reminds him it's already the 8th game and they need to study. Takanaka complains that Tanuki is always late because of some girl confessing to him. He says he won't be satisfied until he beats Tanuki, calling him a freaking normie. Tanuki replies that he hasn't even responded to her yet. Takanaka demands details, but Kana, sitting at the table, gets annoyed by their loud voices. She asks when they plan to start studying, reminding them that they were the ones who invited her. Takanaka grumbles that it's unfair Tanuki gets all the attention, but Kana isn't interested in arguments. She firmly says they need to keep their promises. Her glare silences them, and they finally stop playing. An hour earlier, Tanuki had come home late. When asked why, he explained that a girl had confessed to him. Afterwards, they invited Kana to study with them to stay focused. Takanaka warns Tanuki to keep it a secret from his sister, thinking Tanuki likes her. Tanuki clarifies he just wants to be honest with her. Takanaka scoffs, calling it a complicated kind of love. The three sit around the table studying. Kana wrestles with her feelings over a girl's confession. Memories of Tanuki from 5th grade surface, but instead of nostalgia, she's just annoyed. After a quick pep talk to herself, she puts on a poker face. Tanuki suddenly talks about joining the executive committee for the upcoming field day. Kana listens, playing it cool. Then he casually invites her to check out the field day next week. They engage in a brief staring contest, trying to hide their nerves. Kana had plans to attend, but Takanaka quickly points out that their sibling relationship can no longer stay secret. Rumors are already spreading about her appearance, style, mannerisms, and even family. Tanuki knows that hiding her could backfire and put her at risk. He decides it's time to make everyone aware they are siblings, to protect her dignity. He reassures her that he knows she's antisocial and can do whatever she wants. He smirks, knowing his invitation provoked her. The plan works. She agrees to come. He's glad the issue is resolved. She tells him not to be too happy, but he admits he's overjoyed. He continues to help her gradually understand things. That night, lying on her bed, Kana reflects on just getting up and agreeing to go. She's still unsure what expression to wear. Their understanding level has reached 63%. The next day at school, the executive committee prepares for field day. Bandai thanks everyone for arriving on time. Machizuki encourages Tanuki to do their best together. With only a week left, Bandai reminds everyone to finalize preparations. He pairs members for tasks and emphasizes that the prep squad's coordination will decide the event's success. Tanuki and Machizuki are assigned to prepare for the scavenger hunt race. They are guided to write the theme on a card and put it in an envelope. Tanuki starts writing freely while Machizuki notices. She considers writing something like a response to a confession. Then she reminds him that he needs to respond to her confession soon, saying she won't wait forever. Tanuki feels weighed down by the secret and unsure of her true intentions. If she wanted to spread it, she could have done so immediately. Boldly, he declares he would never use something cherished to manipulate a loved one. He considers it distasteful, like holding someone hostage. He challenges her to be honest if she truly wants to reveal her secret, promising a fitting reply. With that, he finishes his preparations and moves on to other tasks. Machizuki stands watching, thinking Tanuki is truly an interesting person. Tanuki entered the preparation room and opened his bag to look for his phone. He had joined the executive committee only to protect his sister. He was determined to find Higashioka's weakness and remove him from her school. He planned to use the committee's access to infiltrate her high school. He also knew that students at the correspondence school wore street clothes, so he could enter without drawing attention. He intended to use some friends as relatives to avoid suspicion. Wearing a cap to hide his face, he suddenly collided with Komaru. During the collision, he secretly attached a recording device to her bag. She called out to him, but he didn't look back. She assumed he must be the quiet type. As he disappeared into the crowd, Komaru froze, struck by a strange sense of familiarity. For a moment, she thought he might be Tanuki, but quickly dismissed it. He was from the school next door. She chalked it up to her imagination. Outside the guidance counseling room, Komaru stood trembling, fear in her eyes and tears threatening to fall. Around the corner, Tanuki watched, unable to read her face fully, but her distress was clear. He wanted to rush in and protect her, but he stayed hidden, observing. The door opened. Higashioka greeted her with a cold smile, commenting on her lateness but pretending to understand her hesitation. He eyed her like prey, noting her nervousness and shaky voice. He twisted the truth about her brother, claiming he had met Tanuki the day before and handed him a list of her future goals. Higashioka lied, saying Tanuki refused to recognize her as family, implying disgust. His words grew darker, suggesting Tanuki's insistence that they weren't siblings masked some indecent motive. He tried to manipulate her, isolating her from Tanuki. Behind the closed door, Tanuki's heart pounded. Rage surged as he realized Higashioka's plan, to control Komaru by breaking her bond with Tanuki. But he trusted her. He knew she wouldn't break. Inside the room, Komaru's self-doubt rose. For a moment, she wondered if she was truly a burden. Then Tanuki's words echoed in her mind, words of support and family love. She stood straight, wiped her tears, and pushed Higashioka's hand away. Her voice, though quiet, was firm. She told him that Tanuki had never lied to her and never would. Higashioka blinked, caught off guard. Komaru smirked slightly and stared him down, warning him not to underestimate her or her brother. He stared at her in disbelief, realizing her younger brother must have helped her see the truth. He trapped her against the door, insisting he was her only ally and that she would end up alone if she trusted Tanuki. But she smiled calmly and said she wasn't alone anymore. She had a family now. Higashioka's eyes widened, and he sank to his knees. He couldn't believe this was the same girl he had met 2 years ago. Back then, she was 18, thrown out of her home during the COVID crisis, taken in by relatives, and completely lost. She had no clear future, only the desire to become a cosmetologist like her mother, hoping it would earn her mother's affection. Higashioka had been moved by her vulnerability but acted selfishly. Haunted by a past incident where he tried to help a student but was falsely accused, he had isolated himself emotionally. Bitter and alone, he had taken a correspondence school job and vowed never to grow close to a student again. But Komaru's brokenness reignited his obsession. He resolved to isolate her, ensuring she relied only on him. Now, as she stood firm and walked away with new strength, he realized he had lost control completely. He remembered when she had entered his life, and he had decided to help her only as far as she allowed. He focused solely on her goals, ignoring his own. He wanted to protect Komaru, lead her to a normal, happy life, and teach her how the world worked. He had even considered isolating her from family to be the only person she trusted. In the present, Komaru refused to fulfill Higashioka's desires. She thanked him for his efforts but left the room. He felt foolish. She didn't need him anymore. Scratching the floor in frustration, he begged her not to leave him alone. Tanuki realized Higashioka's true weakness, loneliness. The best way to teach him a lesson was to show Komaru the truth. He thought about retrieving the recorder once he got home. Suddenly, Mochizuki appeared. She asked if he was having fun, why he was there, and reminded him they should be working in pairs. Tanuki felt uneasy, unsure of her intentions. He wanted to warn her before she got caught in the dangerous orbit of the correspondence school, but her behavior puzzled him. When he asked casually about the event preparations, she said she was done, then suddenly shifted the conversation to his sister. Tanuki became wary. If her motives were romantic, her attitude wouldn't be so confrontational. He began to suspect she had another agenda. Suddenly, he heard students approaching. Panicked, he realized Mochizuki's uniform would expose them as outsiders. If anyone, especially Higashioka, saw them, it could ruin everything. Acting quickly, he grabbed her hand and led her to a nearby washroom to hide. While inside, they overheard students gossiping about a past scandal involving a couple caught in the same location, which made the situation more tense. After the voices faded, Mochizuki joked that it felt like a secret date. Tanuki, flustered, tried to stay serious, but she continued teasing him, suggesting he relieve his tension, or even make the rumor come true. Stunned, he realized her tactics had shifted from threats to flirtation. He sharply told her not to take herself lightly. If he were the wrong kind of guy, he could have taken advantage of her. His words stung. She quietly asked if he really thought she was that manipulative. Tanuki, caught off guard, started questioning what she truly felt.